Hello everyone, welcome back to Manga Monday. As you can see, today's page I'm drawing is from Jujutsu Kaisen. Specifically, I chose to do a page from the prequel book, which is Jujutsu Kaisen 0. And it was made into a movie, which I really enjoyed. If you don't know what Jujutsu Kaisen is, I don't know what rock you've been living under. It is one of the most popular anime series out there. But if you don't know what it is about, that's fine. So when I got into it, I was watching with a friend. We had heard so much about it, and yet we knew nothing of the plot and storyline. When we started watching, we honestly thought the show might have been overhyped. We weren't really into the storyline, and the characters were great, but we just weren't invested like we thought we should be. And that's when the female characters showed up. They kicked butt in their fight scenes, and all of a sudden we were loving the show. But then when the movie came out, I think that's when we really got into the storyline, and we started seeing the characters' histories and pasts more. And especially for me, I really liked the main protagonist for the movie, and I hope we'll get to see him again. As of right now, my friend and I haven't caught up with the series. We're kind of trying to emotionally prepare ourselves. We know it's going to be a doozy. The show is already pretty violent, but we might be losing some characters soon, and we're not ready for that. So I'm going to pretend like that season doesn't exist and just draw something from a happier time. So this scene, I chose it because, well, first of all, it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, but second of all, it includes my two favorite characters in the movie, which would be Yuta and Inumaki. Yuta is the main protagonist of the movie, and you'll see me draw him later. He's the one with black hair. And Inumaki is the one I'm drawing now. He's in the main series, but I would say kind of limited because he's a second year. But in the movie, we go back in time a year to see him as a first year at the academy that these students attend. So Jujutsu Kaisen is about Jujutsu sorcerers who, these kids are, sorcerers who attend an academy to learn how to be Jujutsu sorcerers. It's not like Harry Potter, I swear. So they're learning how to fight these things called cursed spirits. In this world, cursed spirits are monsters, basically, that are born out of negative human emotions. And they run rampant in places like hospitals and schools. And Jujutsu sorcerers are these special people who have to go find them and hunt them down. See, regular people can't see cursed spirits, but Jujutsu sorcerers can, and they have these special abilities to take them down before they harm people. Inumaki's, in particular, is called cursed speech. So basically, he can say something, and it'll come to pass. Like in this panel, he's going to say the word explode, and the cursed spirits that they're fighting are going to blow up in the next page. It is a pretty awesome power and definitely my favorite of the series, but it does have some major backlash to the user. Yuta, on the other hand, in the movie is kind of discovering what his powers are, and he's a great character to have because he's like the audience, where he's pretty clueless about how this all works. He's just learning, and we get to follow him on his journey. I think that's what made the movie stand out to me, is it does a really good job of explaining things that in the main series I think were kind of glossed over for the sake of moving the story forward at a fast pace. I think that Yuta and Inumaki in their own ways are very relatable characters for me. Yuta has pretty large bags under his eyes, is always tired but still has a smile on his face, and Inumaki is shy and quiet, but he gets the job done in a pinch, and he's like very fast and capable, and his power is just super awesome. So I love these two boys, and I'm so glad I got to draw them. If you've seen the original page, you'll notice that I kind of changed the style up a little bit. The mangaka draws in a more sharp and thin-lined fashion and makes the characters stand out and everything looks very crisp, but my style is more thick-lined and it's rounder, which I think makes the characters' faces look friendlier. I'm not digging on the mangaka's style, I'm just trying to add my own flair to the page. Some struggles I had to deal with were how the mangaka does crazy camera angles. You'll see here that I had to use foreshortening to draw Yuta. The camera is looking down on him, which means his head is actually going to be bigger than his feet. Foreshortening is very hard to get right, but if you practice at it, it's a great way to make your characters in scenes stand out. Another thing that the mangaka is good at, but that I had to practice at a little more, was the folds in the fabric, and specifically the folds on the black fabric, like the pants and Inumaki's jacket. So when you're dealing with black clothing, you can't exactly show the folds through lines. You have to add in highlights later. So I had to go through and erase part of the clothes so that later I could go in with a lighter screen tone to make the folds stand out. Something I had fun with that I love that the mangaka does is how he draws their hair. It's all spiky and cool, stands up everywhere, and I think that adds some interesting elements to them. I also like how he differentiates the way they dress, because technically they're supposed to be using, school uniforms, but throughout the entire series, each character really has their own individual style. Like they can customize their uniforms how they see fit. And the characters have relatively simple designs, but that lends itself well to when you have to draw intense emotion on them. Like, for example, just the close-ups I have of Inumaki on this page. It's simple, and yet that really shows off his expression even more. And it helps the reader see, like, how intense the scene is, or, like, when a character's revving up to use their power. And I really like that. You should, keep it simple is a good rule to follow. In most art, I would say that's a good rule to follow as well, unless you're doing, like, one big intricate piece. But when you're dealing with manga, these are characters you have to draw over and over and over again. Having more simplistic designs that you can really emphasize action with is probably for the best. For the scene, the backgrounds in the scene, I really wanted to practice perspective, and I did do a lot of work on them off screen as well, but I think it's good to practice the things that you aren't necessarily excited to do, but you need to anyway. And one day, I know I will get better at backgrounds to the level where they won't make me uncomfortable anymore. It also helps to have backgrounds for these sorts of scenes so you can pose your characters correctly and just place them within this scene better. Like when Inumaki's walking down the hallway here, having the background helps you see where he's walking, where he's heading to, what his posture is like. And I really liked drawing this back angle of him. It's a weird comment to say, but you don't really get to draw the backs of characters' heads too often. So it's kind of tricky, but it can be a cool effect when a character's walking away dramatically. And the last thing I did for the page was I experimented with brush pens to get the right one for the cursed spirits. I wanted them to look a little more like ink blocked and just a little different from the characters. And it was very fun to draw them in this scene. They're so loose and splotchy, I guess. But they just look kind of more dangerous this way, like they're swarming up. And I guess that's the entire page. Here it is with the text and the shading. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, let me know if you want to see more Jujutsu Kaisen pages, or if there's another series you want me to cover. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.